Want me to see if I can get to that to you very quickly, like in the next day or two, and then, well, we probably need to set. I mean, if I can get that to you,
Right.
you could probably let me know which number you want to go with. Probably. Can we do that by email, or does that have to be by vote?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a discussion among the planning commission about, even the discussion about what the number should be would likely be a problem.
Well, you could just post it at the 300, and then if that drives the decision, we can post it at 3, and then discuss it here and change it at the meeting,
How about
right?
3 to 500?
Right.
300 circle and a 500 circle.
Well,
Then you could just place it anywhere on this map and decide where it can or cannot go.
Well, we have to be clear what the standard is.
I think,
We can change it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
we
purposes
can.
of the public hearing, I think you can establish, put down a number, 3,
Okay.
I would pick one, and then after the public hearing, it can always be changed after input from the public. I don't think,
It goes small and
Yeah.
allow it to go bigger.
Okay.
Okay, no, big and large.
No,
I don't know if that would work,
No.
because they don't know which one where we're going with it.
Brain, and now you'd be going 500 plus.
Yeah.
But
I think,
split the difference, go 400 and then.
I think one problem with
I think 300 is probably the way to go, and then bump it up to 500 at the meeting if we need.
But you'll send us a map with both those,
But I will, yeah.
300 and 500?
Yes, I will.
That makes it easy.
Yeah, I will do that, and you'll be able to see clearly what that means. We'll find all the districts, and we'll go in 300 feet from residential property, and we'll shade that area, and then you can see what will be left in the zoning districts, and it'll become quite clear what you can do or not do.
You can sit there and drop it on.
So if the 500 eliminated, by chance eliminated all the B3s, because you can't tell by this map.
Well, then we would alter the amendments, because there would be no purpose to confuse people with language that can't be used. We would probably pull that and just say in the I-1 or the I-2 districts where that spatial separation could be met.
Because this is the fallback right here.
Mr. Coy?
If you have a specific point in the city that you would like me to use as an example, creating a circle at 300 feet around it and another circle at 500 feet or on a different map, if I'm correct, it can be done in under 5 minutes and then can be emailed. But my suggestion would be to make it an easy project. If you have a couple of locations you'd kind of like to have that at, it would be pretty easy, I believe, to do.
Can I ask a question? Who is asking for this? Is it currently somebody in the funeral? So all you have to do is where the funeral homes are, put a 300, and if it's residential, that will say you can't do that.
Both funeral homes that I'm aware of could not meet the 300-foot
Couldn't do a
separation.
So
So we're really talking about non-existing sites, about future potential.
Okay. Yeah.
It would be new construction, whether it's new construction of a funeral home or new construction of a crematorium facility.
So that'll take a lot of the complaints out from people in town.
Mm-hmm.
That'll eliminate that. Can't happen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the people, it'll greatly reduce the amount of people really concerned. I imagine the people now out closest to where we are providing it would still have some concern, but at least the impact to them is going to be much less than the impact to the people that were very much closer to a proposed facility.
Predominant west wind. Right back to you.
Let's put it up.
You also want the
No, man. There you go.
the prevailing wind speed and direction.
Oh, mercy. Okay, so you need a motion for the public
Yes.
hearing. We did accomplish that, right? I hope, yes.
So, Yeah, so we'll need a
A
motion and
motion by
support.
someone to set public hearing for November 28th?
I make the motion for a public hearing on November 28th.
Right after Thanksgiving, that'll be all right.
Thanksgiving's in there somewhere.
Wow.
The Thursday before.
Oh, yeah. 24th.
Support?
No, I'm just,
I'll support.
Oh, yeah, support, sorry.
Be 28th.
Okay.
24th is
Daydreaming over there, John. These words.
I was looking at,
We ready for a roll call?
yeah, I think we are. Yes, sir.
Smith?
Yes.
Champlin?
Yes.
Schichtel?
Yes.
Gregg?
Yes.
Fent?
Yes.
Filkins?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Putman?
Yes.
Okay. Should have done this last week, or last month.
Okay.
5 minutes.
All right.
Selma.
We have one final public hearing to set. As you recall, at our last meeting, the Hope Shelter representatives, Mark Mogan and Brenda Wright, came in and spent probably at least a half hour giving a presentation on their current operations, both in the city and in the townships. Discussed what their future plans were and the kinds of needs that the homeless have and the amount of space that they need, and they talked about a litany of issues and concerns, and they spoke definitively about trying to make sure they were serving the Cadillac area and not trying to recruit from other areas to grow the homeless base in Cadillac. All that being said, I listened to everything they were saying about where the facilities that the homeless need now and visit regularly now, the secondhand retail shops, public facilities like the library, stores, different places. We discussed at length that they are not in the facility during the day, so there's a certain block of hours, 6 or 8 hours, that they are outside the facility, and you recall all that information. But based on all that information, I drafted something that I think both addresses a general location. Now, I wrote the location to not be district specific. I thought, a homeless shelter under the right site design could probably be considered in a number of districts given the specific site requirements and site amenities and screening and all that sort of thing. So rather than develop something that worked with one district, I wrote what you call an overlay district, so that a homeless shelter could be considered in a number of districts given the site parameters of the overlay district. So I defined the overlay district, and basically it is 600 feet around the DDA border, with the addition of, I think, the a farther distance on the B3 district, as long as you could maintain a minimum distance of a building being 40 feet from Mitchell. I also indicated that it could not be on parcels that have Lake Cadillac frontage. So what we're trying to do is not propose them for our lead redevelopment sites, but we're not trying to place homeless shelters in an undesirable location, but still keep such facilities close to the services that they're using, so that we're not driving up their transportation costs when they don't have any wherewithal much anyway to move about, so that they could then use the facilities that they've traditionally been using. So I don't know if you've all read through it. We could go through it, or I could answer questions and you could question me on why the specific requirements, but I think I've put a number of things in here that line up with the number of people that they said that they would be managing and maximum. I've not driven up those numbers, expanded those numbers. I've tried to put in a number of protective things from a site development standpoint in terms of ability to screen or have certain things out of view. So we can either walk through it or we can just take a few minutes and see if you have questions.
I have a question real quick, John. I don't know why we're going to...
Okay.
In Section C, you talk about this application shall be for an emergency shelter as defined in this chapter. I don't know where it's defined, unless that's all the specific things after that. You didn't put it at the definitions part, that's what I'm saying. Section C.
Operational and design, is that where you're at then?
I'm on permit requirements, page 2, Section C, number 1, it's application
Oh,
for an emergency shelter, and you didn't define that
Okay.
at the very beginning when you did the rest of the definitions. I just wondered.
yeah, that would have to be changed to, when I first started writing this ordinance, it was actually entitled Emergency Shelters, and it was meant to apply to homeless. Working through a number of reiterations with people reviewing it, I was convinced that I needed to word it specifically for this. So what it should now say is the application shall be for a mass or family shelter as defined in this chapter. And those are defined on the front page.
Right.
That's a good catch. It's because I changed from a different template during the course of the...
Those all will be changed all through.
Yes, yes.
Emergency shelter will...
Or family shelter. And mass shelter would be what they're anticipating for the site that they're locking onto, which is up to 14 residents. I think that would be for the men's shelter. They also do individual shelters for families. I think their thought process is the current mass shelter for men would become a family shelter for one family unit that would go in and take over that structure that's now being used for the mass shelter. Yeah. In fact, every place it's talking about emergency would be changed everywhere that's used. I'll go do a word edit on that.
All right, you got it down in the next one on...
Yeah, I can see I have to go through and change it on every one of those. Everywhere it says emergency, it should say mass or family homeless shelter.
On operations, John, on number 7, do they require that now that they have wraparound services? I'm just...
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's nothing we're adding. They in fact, they think that's one of the real benefits of what they do, is that they coach them on life skills and how to get life back on track, and whatever number of issues they may be dealing with, they teach them a strategy to pull out of any of the negatives they may be involved in to put things back on track. So.
Have you given this to Brenda and Mark?
Yes, I have. And they haven't indicated that they have any issues with it.
The emergency shelter again at the very last page.
Okay.
Oh, you could do a word thing, you said it.
Yeah, I'll read through it, and every place it says that, I'll change it.
It might be useful, John, to have a map showing where that 600 feet around the DDA
Okay,
comes to.
okay.
Again, picking a number so we have an idea where that is. Otherwise, I think...
Yeah, it's, for most areas, it's that 600 translates roughly to 2 blocks outside the downtown district, roughly. But I can again do a
How far
graphic.
south does the district go?
I think it actually stops at the Family Fair Center. I think that might be the last parcel in the...
Are they still looking at that building that's...
just across the street from it.
So that would be within the 600 feet then?
Right.
Oh.
You know, and I kind of anticipated, you know, number one, we don't have a lot of vacant buildings in the DDA district, but I know there's a lot of people focused on redeveloping within the DDA district, and it didn't seem appropriate to take some of the few limited sites that there's option for trying to do something very substantial that would substantially add to the tax base, and then, you know, have those become, you know, non-taxable development sites. It would kind of undermine our DDA effort. That said, you know, the farther you move out, the more you're increasing the distance for the residents to travel back into town. And again, there's no magic to the 600 feet. I didn't want it to be so limiting. Number one, I didn't know whether this deal would eventually close, and if it for some reason didn't, I didn't want them to be so restricted that they couldn't lock onto something else. I wanted to make the area big enough that you had some reasonable chance of finding something. And that's primarily what I was thinking when I set that distance. If you wanted it to be larger, you could. Again, there's no magic to that number other than it keeps the residents closer to the things they're already using.
So the building they're looking at doesn't fit the criteria we're laying out then, right? Is that what the heck got out of that?
No, it's within, the building we're looking at is within 600 feet.
Within about 40 feet, isn't it, out the back?
Yeah. So they could, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you have to approve it, but you would have to have a strong reason not to approve it. So if you think, you know,
so we could...
if you wanted to even have a safety area outside the DDA district, I mean, you know, how far do you take it? I mean...
Did you say 600 was a block?
Well, I think it was 2 blocks.
2 blocks? Okay.
Each block is running around 300 feet. And so some blocks are longer, but generally it's about 2 blocks outside the border.
So
now,
anyway, you just need a motion for the public hearing.
Right.
Unless there was, obviously we've already discussed the emergency word and that has changed and stuff.
Right. So I'll change that,
right.
And then you'd be making the motion to approve this draft as amended tonight, okay, just to make that wording correction.
Okay.
And then obviously you would have the ability to do whatever you needed to do after the public hearing. If you wanted to change the dimensions or whatever, you could. But in the meantime, I will also get that map out so that everybody can be seeing what that distance is.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion then for this to also present as a public hearing? I guess what, the same date? Do you want all this same date?
Are we
28th or?
Yeah, they're under a lot of duress to close the deal, and I was telling them that possibly that we might be able to be done by January if we stay on our, if we keep trying to expedite it, so, yeah.
And the council would have it in their December meeting if it, when it got approved at the end of November.
Right. Or if not then, as long as they could get it done in January. I don't know, do you have to spend a meeting setting the public hearing?
We have to set up...
So December, you would probably set it, in January you would do it, right? Okay. No?
We would do it in December.
Yeah, we would have...
Oh, you could actually do it in December?
We could set the meeting at our first meeting, and then we could do the public hearing at our second meeting in December.
We
Okay.
have two of them in December, Christmas.
They would be thrilled if that was what could be done, because I know they've subjected their purchase deal to zoning approvals, so... Very good.
Motion to accept the draft proposal.
New draft proposal.
The new draft proposal with the change in wording, emergency to family and...
Okay.
Seconded, supported.
Who supported?
Mr. Gregg? Yes?
Okay.
Sure. Mr. Gregg?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Smith?
Yes.
Champlin?
Yes.
Schichtel?
Yes.
Gregg? Fent? Filkins?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, old business, there is none this evening. I wish we would have. Anyway, I would have put down, never mind. Should have had some of this on last one. Anyway.
Too late.
Communications, staff, any?
Only the ones that were brought up in connection to the public hearings.
Okay. Any public comments? Marcus, we're keeping you up. Any public comments, sir? You're public tonight.
Yeah.
He's Facebooking over there.
Other business, don't have any, but, and I'm creating one. Board member comments.
I'd like to make mention, I think Don has done a tremendous job, you know, gathering material, guiding us through this, you know, crematorium and the homeless shelter. And
I'm just
I
here.
appreciate all the work you put into it.
Oh, thank you.
How about Mike? Johns.
You did good.
John.
How about Mike?
Mike did,
Mike. Yeah, get Mike in there.
yeah,
I'm a little more brief.
No, you're not.
You're right. Mayor, you're right. You're right.
Topic dependent. Okay. Any, for those of you who don't know, Mr. Fent was reappointed to our board. We thank him.
They didn't tell me about
They did too tell you about it.
I'm tooting his horn anyway, so we thank you. Any other board member comments? No. No other business and stuff, and wow, long meeting. We're out.
That's